Good morning. So this is English 133. Okay, so we got through chapter 1 and we reviewed that. There was one of the students that said, "Thank you so much, Miss, because I hadn't been aware. You know, I'm the one of the ones that got up at 8 o'clock and I didn't realize that it was late." So make sure that you are very conscious of your schedule. And if you're sleeping a lot, that's not a good sign, right? That means that you're probably depressed, and that means that you're probably bored. So or something is going on. So make sure that you are mindful of your habits and your routines, and you don't succumb to bad habits at this time. Drinking is a really big issue. So is weight gain. I'm sorry. And so I had a lot of students that said, "I've gained so much weight," and that doesn't go just for women, right? And I have too. And then it's been very hard because you know, I don't necessarily go to gym because I am very intimidated by it, but I remember that I have a gym here. I remember that everybody knows, but remember that I sort of tore a muscle or something, or who knows, I'm still very, very fragile. And so that has not helped with me being here. And then of course me being you know, not in good health and having this tear because I can't like run or anything like that. I can't even lift. I can't even like bend down. So slowly but surely I'm recuperating. So weight gain has become an issue for me. And also I've been cooking a lot because I have, you know, because I can, and I have cravings and this and that and whatever and blah blah blah. So I made brownies the other day. I don't even eat brownies. So make sure that you're mindful of whatever it is that you're eating, and make sure that you don't go into those difficult and horrendous routines, the drinking, the sleeping a lot, the, you know, eating a lot, the non-exercise, the being in the couch, the, you know, watching a lot of you know, media and news and Netflix or whatever. Keep yourself busy. This is a time to really enjoy your life and enjoy the time that you have at home. As I mentioned before, I've never been at home, so I'm really enjoying it. I have procrastinated a lot. I really need to fix my office, and that's why I sometimes have it here, because my office isn't fixed and there's, you know, papers all over the place, and I'm kind of embarrassed for that. And I just procrastinated and say I haven't, but I'm going to get it done. So make sure that you get it done. This is a time to get everything that you haven't had a chance to do, to get it done. Okay, so we got through chapter 1, which is very significant. I told you about the time charts, and I told you all that. So that sort of concludes our chapter 1. Your reading rates, nobody said what your reading rates were, so make sure that you go back and you check that out, okay? There's also on page 25 and 27, okay, these right here, and then on 25 these, I want you to go through these practices. We're not going to put them up, but I want you to go through these practices. And this one is just, it gives you the you know, the word like recall, and then automatically you circle. It gives you the instructions there, exactly what you think it is. So what it does is that it creates agility and rapidness in terms of vocabulary and what it is, and it gets your mind to really think fast and really do well. So avoid vocalizations when you are reading silently. If you speak aloud and you read aloud, that's going to slow your rate, okay? So don't. The only way and the only reason that you want to vocalize it and speak aloud is when you don't understand something and you've gone over it and over and over it and you don't understand, then it's time to be able to read it aloud so it could slow you down and understand it. But only then. If you're having to go through things and you're having to, and time is of the essence and you need to get through it, then don't read aloud, because it just will slow you up, okay? Stop the regressions. If you don't read appropriately and you have to reread, you're going to have to regress, and so that just slows you down as well. So the regressions are not good, okay? So make sure that you understand and you go through it instead of having to go back and reread, because if you go back and reread, it's just going to slow you down, but it also affects your comprehension, and your comprehension is key. There's also another thing called fixations, which is what I want you to do here, okay? And it's on page 26, and we're still on chapter 1. So your fixation is the amount of time when your eye reads, it like clusters words. And so at the time that you read something, you can read anywhere from 2 to 3 words. Every time you blink, or every time you stop, or every time a fixation, which means that these stops which last for a fraction of a second, your eyes must stop for you to read. And so it lasts for a fraction of a second and called our fixations. So at the time that every time you fixate, that you stop, then you are delaying the time, okay? So what you want to do is the ability to be able to read, and the more you read, the more comprehension you have, the faster you read. So it's all practice. Everything in life is practice, okay? It's just sort of like all our software that we're trying to do, all our online, everything that we are doing is just practice. So fixation and being able to read as many words, because you have an expansive vocabulary, helps you with the fixation. That means that you can get more words in before you stop. The more words you get in, the faster you read, the more comprehension you have, okay? Because also if you read really slow, you're not going to get the comprehension because you can't get through it. Sometimes it's better to skip the word if you don't know it and then come back to them, and then through context clues, which means that the context of whatever it is that you're reading will tell you what the word is, but only afterwards. Because if you break it off and you're constantly checking in Google what it means, then you're not going to understand, and you're not going to go through the fluidity of getting through the passage, the essay, whatever it is that you're reading, to be able to have the comprehension that you have. Okay, so read up on fixations, and this is taking a break from memory right here, okay? And this is for fast readings as well. So make sure that you go through these so you understand. And fixations are very, very interesting, okay? So make sure you read that. I already gave you a little like synopsis and a little overview of what it is. And so make sure that you understand that. I'm getting tired because I'm really sitting, kind of chueca here, whatever. Okay, so we go on to chapter 2, okay? And we're all, school's almost done. It is what it is. Although next week is this week is week 3, so we've done quite a bit, okay? So in this is stages of reading. You're gonna read chapter 2. You're gonna understand what your stages of reading are and the reading processes. This on page 34 is the schemata and the prior knowledge. I've already discussed this, okay? That's what we understand, and that's what we build upon, and that's what we come. If you have been in the medical field, then you have a foundation, which is called the schemata, which means that there's prior knowledge. And so what happens with that is that you build upon it. So if you come from a medical field and you're going to school, then you have already a foundation. If you don't, then your learning curve that we discussed last time is going to be significant, because you're going to have to learn everything from the very beginning. And that's why you're in school, to be able to learn and to be able to build up that schemata and that foundation and that knowledge, so you can have a foundation and then start building. And once you start building, it's like building a building, and it's like building a house. You start building a very solid foundation. So even if you do not have to learn stuff, make sure that you learn it, because it'll only prepare you better for your field and your career, okay? Don't take any shortcuts. There are no shortcuts in life. I'm just telling you, okay? You're either going to learn it now, or you're going to learn it under pressure later. So it's better to learn it now. It's like your Excel and your Microsoft. If you have the time to learn and become proficient in Excel during school, do it, because you're going to have to learn it anyway, wherever it is that you go, even if you're not an accountant or whatever, because there's lists of everything. So you either learn it at school where you have the flexibility, or you're going to learn it at work and you have to take it home because you still haven't finished it because you can't deal with the program, all right? So that's the power of prior knowledge and the schemata. On page 35, I want you to do the personal feedback, okay? So page 35 is homework, all right? And then you have your stages of reading there. If you remember when we were in kinder, all right, it has the stages of reading here. You have, and look at my book, because I love my book, and I've used it for a long time now. So you have your cover, you have your spine, and you have your back cover. And this is kind of silly, but it's important for you guys to know. The way books are set up is at the beginning, you have the table of contents. In the table of contents, it will tell you everything that is in every single chapter, okay, like this. All right, it has your table of contents. It tells you what's in with each chapter and what it is that's highlighted there and everything. And then it gives you the page numbers. In the back, this is really important for your medical terminology and all that, okay? In the back, you're going to have a glossary and you're going to have an index. They're different. A glossary is like a definition. It's like Google. Google's great because you can, access whatever the definition is. Before, you used to have to carry specific big dictionaries. You don't have to do that. I highly encourage you to download any type of app of dictionary, although Google is really good as well, but I always reference my dictionaries, okay? So I always have a Webster's English Dictionary, and I always have a box Spanish dictionary. I also have a word-to-word dictionary, which means that it's just word to word. So if I'm looking in English for house and I want to know what it is in Spanish, it just says casa. It doesn't say what it means. It just has a direct translation of what the word is. I have all of those, but you can do Google, okay? So you have a glossary that tells you what the definitions are, but you also have an index. And in the index, you have every single word that's there that's important, and it tells you what the page number, every single word that comes up with. So instead of going through all your book and figuring out what that word is, you can go back to the index and find it. It is crucial for you to understand the way your book is set up. You learned this in kindergarten, but we forget it and we don't use it. It's important for you to use it. I use these little tabbies right here, and those are very significant for me, and I always have color coded. They're quite expensive, but I love them and I use them all the time. What I also do as well is that I write notes on the sides. Those are really important, and so those are part of the note taking that's important when you do the reading and you do the writing, okay? So you have on chapter 2, page 34, all right? And then read that. There's some questions and previewing tips. Make sure you read out everything, all right? And then you have on chapter 48, okay, personal feedback. I want you to do that. And then I want you to do vocabulary. These are really easy. You don't have, all you have to do is just, let me see. All you have to just circle the answer, and then you take a picture when you upload, okay? So it's page 50 vocabulary, and it goes to, 56 vocabulary, and it goes to 57. And then we go to 63 vocabulary, and it goes to 64. And then we go to 70, page 70 vocabulary, and it goes to 71. And then you go to 72, and then all the way to part 2 on 74. So in 72 and 73, these are prefixes and suffixes, okay? These are prefixes. You need to read this. Once you understand the way words are created and are formatted, you will have the key to decipher any word that you need to learn. This will be tremendous help for medical terminology, because if you know Spanish, most languages that are Romance languages, which is your Spanish, which is your French, Italian, Portuguese, Romanian, and then I'm missing 2 more. I can't remember what they are. Okay, Spanish, and then I don't know what. So those are all Latin based, okay? And so all your medical terminology is based on Latin, and I think Greek, okay? So if you understand, excuse me, this is weird. If you understand what your Latin based is and what your prefixes, suffixes, and your root words are, you can decipher what the word is even if you don't know it. Although I highly encourage you to buy your index cards and start writing down your words. There's some words that have the same meaning that are different words, so write those words down that have exactly the same definition. Write them on one side and then the definition on the other. Do it like I did with my elementary students when I was a principal. Everybody had their multiplication tables, or everybody had their word families, or everybody had their addition, and all they did was practice their index cards all the time. So make sure that you carry your index cards. We have a lot of time now. Start practicing the words. Even if you don't have them, make sure that you know that you start practicing your medical terminology words. Okay, so there are word families, and there's always word families. You start off in kindergarten with at, right? And so if you just change the consonant for at, then you have a word family. So let's take at. So we just take the consonant and we change it. Fat, pat, mat, cat. Right? And so the word family and the root word is at, and then you have, and there are word families. At, cat, pat, mat, whatever. Those are all word families because the root word is at. So then you go into being at a higher level in college, and that's where these things come into play. So this one is in and is not. Dis is not, right? That's why they say now. It's not a dismiss, or when I tell you guys it's not a dis, it's not something against you, that it's not a not. and un is not. And you will see those. Make sure that you go through this. Page 72, 73, okay, and 74 are crucial for you to understand. All right. So the other word is this is not, and then other word is un. So all those words that have that means not, means this, means not. Okay, so make sure that you understand that and go through that. You will have to do the review part 1 and the review part 2 as your homework. Okay, so you will have to do that. All right, and that is your class assignment for this week. So it is chapter 2, okay? Let me see if I get this right. And we have page 36, and then we have page 48, and then we have page 56 through 57, and then we have page 63 to 64, and then we have page 70 through 71, and then we have all of 72, 73, but at the bottom of 73 we have part 1, and then at the bottom of 74 we have part 2. Do both of them. And I basically reviewed the whole chapter just because, you know, I taught reading because I was a teacher and I was a kindergarten teacher. High school and upper level teachers cannot teach reading. The only ones that teach reading and the only ones that understand the process of the way the words are structured are your kinder teachers, your first grade teachers, and your second grade teachers. It's very interesting. And this will help you, for those of you who have children, that you can start creating vocabulary lists and vocabulary word families for them, and you can start testing them, you know, and drilling them as you make dinner or as you're sitting down and eating dinner or whatever, and this and that. And so that way they can start really understanding their words and doing their index cards. So it can help everybody, okay? I highly encourage you to, if you have medical terminology, do that. If you have your NHI or NHA book, if you don't have one, I highly encourage you to buy one. It's like a practice book with your CCMA and everything that it is. It's a blue book. They usually give it to you when you have externships or when you're, or not externships, when you're about to take your class, your CCMA. I highly encourage you to get it now and you start studying, so that way you're not overwhelmed at the time that you need to do it, and you go through it, and you practice and you practice it and you practice it. So it is vital for you to understand. If you don't know Spanish, then you're just going to have to learn how it is, what things is that the words are structured. I highly encourage you to learn Spanish. It's very, very important. And in the real world and out in business, you know, if you know a second language, especially the language of the region, that will cut a lot of competition from your competitors, for those of you that don't. Now, I always say this in my class. For those of you who go to interviews and they say, do you know a second language? And you don't know Spanish, right, in this region, which is the language that you need, because if you're, you know, who knows, like if you're near Canada, maybe they need a French, who knows. So for this area, Spanish is what's needed, right, because we're in the border with Mexico. So you can tell them, I don't know Spanish, but I can assure you that I will make myself understood, and you don't necessarily need to verbalize, you know, to verbalize in order to communicate. Because if you are with an elder, they can't hear, so it doesn't matter what you speak to them, right? You're going to have to, in other modalities and in gestures and in being able to show them or whatever, to be able to make them understand. The other thing is, you know, if there's any type of disability or deaf or whatever, there's other situations and other skills that you can do in order to make yourself understood. A part of it is body language. So you can give a really good example of that, and then sort of, you know, lessen the blow about, you know, not fulfilling that skill if you are required that you have it. Okay, so many blessings. We will have Teams meeting. If you are not in Teams yet, make sure that you contact me. If you will not be able to make it, make sure that you have the courtesy to let me know, whether it be through Teams, Bubble, you know, email, or however it is through comments down in SU. So that will be on Wednesday for you all, and it will be on at 3 o'clock. Okay, so I will set up the link. I don't know how to do the invite. I don't know why the invite didn't go out. I'll try my best to get it out. If not, during Teams, if you go to calendars, you'll see that, and it's already set. I'm already going to set it up. Okay. So many blessings, love and light. I hope if you have any questions, make sure that you contact me. But it should be pretty easy. Ciao.